The night the storm hit the hospital, Daniel Harper felt like the world was already collapsing around him. Rain hammered against the tall glass windows of St. Gabriel Medical Center, turning the city outside into a blur of flashing lights and dark shadows. Inside the emergency room, alarms beeped relentlessly. Nurses rushed from bed to bed, and the smell of antiseptic mixed with tension in the air. But for Daniel, a single father and night shift nurse who had spent years holding his life together with quiet determination, the chaos of the hospital felt strangely familiar. It was the chaos of life he was used to surviving. What he didn't know was that before the next sunrise, he would lose the only job keeping his daughter's future safe. And yet somehow, within 24 hours, everything he believed about loss, sacrifice, and destiny would change forever. But before we begin this emotional journey, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who believes in kindness and second chances, and subscribe to the channel if you believe even the smallest act of courage can change a life. Daniel Harper had never imagined his life turning out this way. 10 years earlier, he had been a nursing student with a hopeful future and a loving wife named Emma, who believed he would become one of the most compassionate nurses in the city. Emma used to say Daniel had a rare gift, the ability to see people not just as patients, but as human beings carrying invisible battles. But life had a cruel way of rewriting dreams. Emma passed away suddenly after a severe illness when their daughter Lily was only 3 years old. The loss shattered Daniel in ways he never thought possible. Grief hung over their small apartment like a constant storm cloud, but Daniel had no time to collapse under the weight of it. Lily needed him. She needed breakfast before school, bedtime stories at night, and someone strong enough to tell her the world was still safe. So Daniel did what single parents everywhere somehow managed to do. He kept moving forward. He worked the night shift at St. Gabriel so he could spend mornings walking Lily to school. He learned how to braid her hair from YouTube videos. He attended every school play, every parent meeting, every little moment that reminded him why he refused to give up. To most people, Daniel Harper was just another exhausted hospital nurse. To Lily, he was her entire world. That stormy Thursday night began like many others. The emergency department was overcrowded, ambulances arriving one after another due to a multi-car accident on the highway outside the city. Doctors barked orders while nurses scrambled to keep up with the flood of injured patients. Daniel moved calmly through the chaos, checking monitors, administering medication, and comforting frightened families. Then the doors burst open. 2 paramedics rushed in with a stretcher carrying a man covered in blood, his body tense and motionless. The room shifted instantly. Even before anyone said it, the seriousness of the situation was obvious. The patient had suffered severe trauma during a classified training accident at a nearby naval base, a Navy SEAL. His injuries were critical, his breathing was unstable, every second mattered. The attending physician quickly began issuing instructions, but as the situation escalated, something became painfully clear to Daniel. The hospital's administrative policy required certain authorizations before performing a risky but potentially life-saving emergency procedure. And those authorizations weren't arriving fast enough. Minutes slipped by while administrators argued over liability and protocol, but Daniel wasn't looking at paperwork. He was looking at a dying man. Years of experience had taught him how quickly life could disappear. The patient's oxygen levels were dropping dangerously low. Waiting for bureaucratic approval would almost certainly kill him. Inside Daniel's chest, a war began. Follow hospital rules, or follow his conscience. He thought about Lily. He thought about Emma, and he thought about the oath he had taken when he became a nurse, to protect life above everything else. Without hesitation, Daniel acted. He prepared the emergency airway procedure himself, assisting the overwhelmed doctor who had quietly reached the same desperate conclusion. Together they worked with relentless focus, pushing past fear, rules, and the heavy pressure of the ticking clock. For several agonizing minutes, the room seemed frozen in time. Then suddenly, the patient's oxygen levels stabilized. The monitors beeped with steady rhythm again. The Navy SEAL was alive. Relief washed over the room like a wave. But Daniel's victory lasted only a few hours. By morning, the hospital administration had reviewed the case. Their decision was swift and merciless. Daniel Harper had violated hospital protocol. Even though the patient survived, the hospital could not risk legal exposure. Daniel was fired. Just like that, the job that had supported his daughter, paid their rent, and given his life purpose, was gone. Daniel walked out of St. Gabriel Medical Center carrying a cardboard box with his belongings while the same storm cloud still hovered over the city. His co-workers avoided eye contact. No one wanted to admit that the man who saved a life had just been punished for it. That afternoon, Daniel sat at the tiny kitchen table in his apartment staring at a stack of unpaid bills. The numbers blurred together while Lily colored quietly beside him, unaware that her father's world had just collapsed. Daniel forced a smile when she asked if everything was okay, because fathers sometimes lie to protect their children. That night, after Lily fell asleep, Daniel sat alone in the dim living room wondering how long it would take before their savings disappeared. Rent was due in 2 weeks. Finding another nursing job after being fired for violating protocol could take months. For the first time since Emma died, Daniel felt completely powerless, but far away, something extraordinary was unfolding. The man Daniel had saved wasn't just any soldier. His name was Commander Marcus Reed, one of the most respected Navy SEAL officers in the country. When Marcus regained consciousness the following morning at a military medical facility, the first thing he asked about wasn't his injuries. It was the nurse who had saved his life. Military investigators quickly explained what had happened. The emergency procedure, the hospital's disciplinary decision, the fact that the nurse responsible had already been terminated. Marcus listened silently. Then he did something unexpected. He made a phone call. 24 hours after Daniel Harper lost everything, there was a knock on his apartment door. Daniel opened it cautiously. Standing outside were 2 uniformed Navy officers. Behind them was a black SUV. And stepping out of the vehicle was Commander Marcus Reed himself, still recovering but standing tall with quiet strength. Daniel was too stunned to speak. Marcus walked forward slowly, studying the man who had risked everything to save him. What Daniel didn't realize in that moment was that his act of courage had triggered something far greater than he could imagine. Within hours, the story of the nurse who lost his job after saving a Navy SEAL had spread through military leadership, medical boards, and even national media. But the most important change was happening right there in Daniel's small living room. Commander Marcus Reed had not come to say thank you. He had come to make things right. Before we reach the final moment of this story, take a second and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Stories like this remind us that kindness exists everywhere in the world. Marcus explained that Daniel's decision had not only saved his life, but preserved the leadership of an entire special operations unit. Losing him during that mission would have had consequences far beyond one man's fate. But more importantly, Marcus said something Daniel would never forget. He told him that true heroes rarely wear medals. Sometimes they wear hospital scrubs. Within days, a chain of events unfolded that Daniel could never have predicted. Military medical officials publicly praised his actions. A national veterans organization offered him a leadership role in their trauma care program. News outlets began sharing the story of the single dad nurse who chose humanity over rules. And St. Gabriel Medical Center, facing public outrage, quietly attempted to reverse their decision. But by then, Daniel had already moved forward. Because the greatest reward wasn't the job offers or the attention. It was the moment Lily hugged him tightly after seeing him on television and said she was proud of her dad. For Daniel Harper, that moment meant more than anything else in the world. Life still had struggles ahead. Bills would still arrive, long nights would still exist. But something inside Daniel had changed. He no longer felt like a man barely surviving life's storms. He felt like a father who had shown his daughter what courage truly looks like. And sometimes, that is the most powerful legacy a parent can give. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who believes good people still exist, and subscribe for more stories that remind us humanity is stronger than we think. Because somewhere out there tonight, another quiet hero might be making a choice that changes the world. And just like Daniel Harper, they might not even realize it yet.